Cinesmack contains spoilers of the spoiling type. If you don't want your spoilers spoiled, please turn back now. Otherwise, enjoy the show!
Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds. Lawrence?
Ladies and gentlemen! Welcome to the main event! This is Cinesmack! And the winner is...
Hello, Cinesmacketeers, and welcome to bout number 81 of the podcast about films by filmmakers. This also marks our 8-year anniversary of doing the podcast. I am your host, Mike Keeler. Joining me tonight is our panel of award-winning judges. First, filmmaker and owner of Cheshire Moon Films, Mr. Tom Haggis.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? To keep things simple, I'm going to refer to everyone in Love Actually by the character names they're more familiar with. So, like, I'm really disappointed that Snape broke up with Nanny McPhee. You'll catch on.
All right. Second, writer, actor, and producer, Mr. Tosh Dillinger.
You really stole my joke there. I was kind of pissed off because I was going to say, if you're a fan of The Walking Dead, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Schindler's List, and many, many more British films, we have a film to show you and talk about.
Third, writer, actor, and director, Mr. Kyle Fine.
So I just want to take a quick moment out of the podcast to say, this microphone sounds pretty good, right? Getting good audio quality.
Mm-hmm.
It does.
It's running through my Xbox. It's running pretty well. It's great. You look around and you see all these things, and they're all from Confederated products. Just want you to know that I can't recruit within the podcasting world. So tell your friends. We may be the 15,000th most popular podcast, but fingers crossed next year will be 14,500.
Nice.
I'm surprised we're at 15,000.
Fourth, filmmaker and owner of One Genome Short Productions, Mr. Gabriel Rollwald.
You can't see it, but I'm holding up signs right now.
Mm-hmm.
That they say things like, "Good evening, Cinesmacketeers." It's just carolers. I don't have any caroling music. I would play caroling music. I can't do that.
Man, I wish I would have put gong out.
You would like it if you could see these signs.
I'm going to run down the street and kiss you, Gabe, and then we're going to go right back to acting like I don't know you love me.
Right. Okay, I'm ready for you.
All right.
All right.
Well, let's kick off our 81st episode with Poking the Monkey. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, drug dealers and prime ministers, welcome to the main event. Tonight, we welcome a holiday battle royale. Prepare to have your plots twisted and your timelines blended as we see who wakes up on Christmas morning with a win under the tree and who wakes up with a stocking full of coal. In the first corner from 1999, directed by Doug Lyman, written by John August, starring Sarah Pauly, Jay Moore, and Scott Wolf. Go! In the second corner from 2003, directed and written by Richard Curtis, starring Hugh Grant, Martine McCutcheon, and Liam Neeson. Love Actually!
I remember going to see Go in the theater, and I remember loving it. And I was actually talking with Tom about it at dinner one night, and it introduced me to Paul Oakenfold. Just, he has one tiny little song in the movie, and I had to find it. Like, I searched all over. This is, in the Steam era of the internet, so it was actually pretty difficult to find. But I actually found it, and this is my first viewing for Love Actually. And I believe whoever has the acting category, we're going to have a lot to discuss. I think this is going to be acting category heavy. We have a lot of people to discuss. So let's go ahead and start the bout with our first round. Writing.
This is my first viewing for both of these movies as well. I enjoyed them both. One of the things concerning Love Actually is when you write a piece that involves such a large number of characters, I feel like a lot of the character development gets truncated, that they don't become fully developed characters, and they become a little bit more kind of like caricatures or archetypes. They just represent kind of a general type of person. And while I really liked the writing, I thought the dialogue was nice, and I felt like the writing was good. I just felt like the character development was a little bit shallow because we don't have enough time to really get into these characters. But with Go, it's kind of an ensemble piece too, and there's a large number of characters, and I'm not sure that the character development is particularly deep there, but I did feel like the story structure was interesting. I like how they structured the story. And when I had read a lot of the kind of like reviews and stuff of Go before I saw it, many people described it as the same story from different points of view. But my feeling wasn't that's not actually the case. It's different stories that happen to overlap in places, and each story informs the other. It's not necessarily the exact same story told from different points of view. So my expectation was a little bit different, but I did enjoy that story structure. And that's one of I think the strongest pieces for me in Go. Did I cover everything?
Good job. That was great.
Yeah. All right.
Moving
Next
on.
category.
Moving on.
Let's
Okay.
vote.
Let's vote. Did anyone think that Go was trying to be like a Pulp Fiction knockoff at all?
No.
A little
bit.
I see a little bit of what you mean, and I think movies around that time were stealing a lot of their swagger from that.
Yeah.
Because it was so popular and such a hit. But I think Go is different enough, and compared to a lot of those other movies that use the multiple point of view to tell different pieces of an overarching story, I think Go's better at it than most.
Yeah.
And I think Go actually benefits from having like a smaller budget, and at that time what were kind of up and coming actors, because I felt like they were kind of going for it. And Doug Liman was coming off of, working on Swingers and had kind of that momentum going for it, and maybe was dipping a little bit into the flavor of the time. But I like a little bit about what Gabe said about some of the writing. Love Actually just has too many stories going on, too many things, too many people, and the way some of them are related are pretty superfluous and not really all that interesting, in my opinion. Go a little smarter, slicker. I think it does a decent job at showing you that your perspective is flawed a little bit and not based on the entire story, that you're only getting bits and pieces and you learn more as you pick up different points of view. My problem with both these movies in the writing category is that if you're going to do a trick like this, I'd call it a trick for the sake of just explaining it. If you're going to use this narrative structure, the inherent story in the middle has to be interesting enough to warrant using it. Otherwise, it feels a bit like a magic trick. And there were times in Go where it felt just like, not sure you need this narrative structure to some of it, because if you put it all together and lay it out, you can cut some things out, I think, and still tell a good story. And there are pieces of it that feel definitely much uneven, less interesting than other bits. And I won't talk about when we get to the actor, but some of the acting in Go really just rubbed me the wrong way. Same with some of the people in Love Actually. I think when you have this many people in this many stories, it becomes a little uneven sometimes.
I think one of the things that I like about both of these movies, but more so Go. I mean, it's been several years, obviously, but when you go out and you have a night with friends, and your other friends are running around town doing their thing, and everybody's kind of off doing their own adventure, and you meet up at a bar and then you split up and somebody else goes somewhere else. And Go really does have that kind of like night on the town feel with all of the different things going on, and everybody, coming back on Monday and like, what happened to you? Or like, oh, I got a story that can top that. And so it's got this real, what I really like is that, I mean, that real kind of real world vibe. And I guess in a way, Love Actually, right now people are going through all of their own holiday shit and dealing with all of their own holiday problems and everything. And so it does that at the same way that, while we are all living out our stories, everybody else in the middle of their own storylines about what they're dealing with, whether it's, a night on the town or getting ready for Christmas. So, and I don't know. I feel if Pulp Fiction did anything, it just kind of changed the way that we tell stories. But I mean, Kurosawa was doing that, decades before Pulp Fiction, but Pulp Fiction did it in such a smooth, slick way that people tried to emulate it. And I feel like Go took kind of the mechanism, but left a lot of the grittiness aside and kind of glossed it over a little bit and made it, shiny and a bit more fun than Pulp Fiction in terms of, I'd probably show my kids Go before I show them Pulp Fiction, probably.
That might be a good call.
You like that?
Ghost,
okay.
Ghost,
so it'll
a
go,
little difficult,
maybe
maybe to show some kids.
It'll be Go, and then it'll be Pulp Fiction, and then Love Actually.
Oh, go right.
Thank
from
you,
that.
thank you, Bilbo Baggins, for that one.
oh yeah, I forgot about that part. But yeah, there's some questionable content in all three. That's for sure. One of the other things that bothered me a little bit with some of the writing is that a lot of this stuff came together very neatly and very happily at the end. Whereas I felt like that. It turns out to me, I didn't really realize it at first, but Go is really kind of a dark comedy, and it's not really meant to be that dark. There are all these bad things that happen to people. They get run into by cars, and they get super high on drugs and left behind, and they get shot in the arm. And there's all these bad things that happen to them, but everything in the end really turns out kind of peachy, which I thought was a little bit. It was a little bit of a cop out, and the same with Love Actually. Overall, most of those stories end in a pretty upbeat way, which is fine. I don't have any problem with that, but I just felt like it was a little bit convenient that those stories end so nicely.
I think Love Actually shows a lot of different types of love you can experience and love people have for each other. But to me, the most compelling relationship was between Martin Freeman and his stand-in for softcore porno, or I'm not sure what their story was. But I found that to be the most compelling, and actually was probably my favorite story of a relationship through the entire thing. Because it just seemed more natural. It seemed like they had a reason to be together. It didn't seem contrived because they had such an odd job, and they're kind of forced into talking to each other, and they kind of naturally fall into a rhythm of like developing it. Some of the other relationships we peek in on seem so convoluted and just strange to me that I was just like, I don't like. Why is Andrew Lincoln such a fucking weirdo? Why can't he talk to this lady? Like what?
Zombie.
Yeah. Well, at one point, Heather goes, "Man, that guy really looks like Andrew Lincoln," and I said, "That is Andrew Lincoln." She goes, "Oh God."
He just doesn't have a big scruffy beard.
I said, "Yeah, but that's
He's
Andrew
not
Lincoln
covered
like
in zombie
10
clothes.
years ago, dude." Okay, so and he's been ridden hard and put away wet down in Georgia, so he's
He's been hard. He's been hard.
I think. So for me, Go, you're talking about people, bad things happening, and I never felt sympathy for a lot of them because I feel like it's dumb people making bad decisions. And Pulp Fiction, yeah, right, and Go. And in Pulp Fiction, you feel some sympathy for some characters because you feel like the things that are happening are not always under their control. Things are happening to them. But yeah, it was hard for me to garner much sympathy for the bad things that happen in Go because like these are people making bad decisions. Granted, I made terrible decisions when I was their age. But if someone watched me as a movie, I don't think they'd feel much sympathy for me. It was hard for me to get to that point.
I thought Love Actually could have been cut. You know, there's probably like, I don't know how many stories where they're going on, like 10. Let's say 10. I don't know the exact number. That could probably get cut to like 4 and probably could have told a better story. And I get that they're trying to tell us or show us all these different ways that love happens, but I really didn't care. Honestly, it's like, okay, great.
You are a heartless person, Tosh.
Right. They call me the Grinch. I'm the Grinch. That's right.
You're the Valentine's Day Grinch. You don't care about love.
Yeah, that's what we call you. Yep, there it is.
Do you think that Love Actually would have worked better as a series of films?
No.
Tied together where the relationships overlap.
What about a TV series where it goes through each
maybe.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Maybe TV series.
It's called This Is Us.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
Because the movie's long. It's 2 hours and 15 minutes, and it still feels like there's way too much goddamn shit going on, and it's not long enough to tell the stories.
Yeah, it is long. Because when I first started, I'm like, oh crap, Love Actually. I'm gonna talk about love for 2 hours and 15 minutes. Fantastic. I'm in a bad mood tonight. I apologize.
Oh man, yes, man. No love from Tosh tonight.
Well, Tosh, you got to run through an airport trying to catch the love of your life when you're like 6 years old.
That's right.
And that kid would have definitely been shot in the face if he'd have done that these days.
Yeah,
so I'm glad he did it in England.
Yeah, he would have been.
Wasn't that called Home Alone 2? Oh no, sorry.
The Maze Runner.
Maze Runner.
Oh, yes. Someone mashed that up. Make that the trailer for Maze Runner.
Yeah, because that kid's in Maze Runner, right?
That'd be great.
But I agree about the Go. It's like they are making a lot of stupid mistakes, and you really don't care about them. But I'll talk more about that in acting because I have a hate for one of those actors in Go like extremely, and we'll get to that when we get there. But
I know which one Kyle does too. So
it's Tosh's Denzel Washington moment.
Yep.
I can't wait.
All right, let's go ahead and put it to a vote. Gabe.
I think on the basis of interesting story structure, I'm going to have to go with Go.
All right. Tom.
Writing. I don't know. I got a pretty strong Schmaltz meter, and for some reason, Love Actually does not tip it off. You know, there's other movies like, I don't know, Bridget Jones's Diary and Stepmom. I just can't fucking watch those. But for some reason, Love Actually jumps around enough that I never sit on one story long enough to go, oh, for fucking sake, kill me. Does that make sense?
Sure.
There you go.
So you're voting for Love Actually.
Yeah, who'd you vote for?
What?
Yeah, who'd you vote for?
It's for Love Actually.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, that's not how I read it when you said that.
All right, Tosh.
Go.
All right. Kyle?
Go.
All right. Writer John August had originally intended Go to be a short film. The original screenplay was made up basically of the Rona part of the script. The other 2 sections were added to explain why Simon went to Las Vegas and who Adam and Zach are. In Love Actually, the scene where Chris Marshall's character Colin accidentally insults the caterer's food to her face was originally written as a scene for Hugh Grant's character in 4 Weddings and a Funeral, but was cut from that film. So he was able to put it back in. All right, let's move on.
Hugh Jackman would have been so much more charming.
Well, 2003 Hugh Jackman, isn't that? Yeah, that'd be like Wolverine Hugh Jackman. That's all he was kind of known for at the time, right?
Oh, shit. Wait, did I say Hugh Jackman?
Yes.
I meant Hugh Grant.
Okay. Right.
Oh.
I want to see Wolverine in there with his claws.
Still would love Wolverine in that movie as the Prime Minister of England.
All right, let's move on to our second round, which is acting.
Hey, that's mine. So, Sorry, I was waiting for the ding, ding, ding. Okay, so obviously both of these movies have lots of very famous actors and actresses. Sorry, I wasn't ready for this.
You wanted this category.
I know I did. Obviously, Love Actually has a stronger cast in terms of the people that are in it. And there's some really good performances. Nanny McPhee is really, really good in it. Davy Jones is pretty awesome as the aging rocker. This was kind of the first movie I'd ever seen him in.
He was hilarious. That guy's a little bit creepy. Like, I feel like he should only play zombies. But he was hilarious in this. I thought he was awesome.
I think he's one of the main bad guys in Underworld.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
He is.
Vampires. You should play vampires or zombies. Because doesn't he get zombified in something like?
He's got that face.
Here, I'll look it up. You guys keep talking.
Anyway, I'm sorry, Tom. Go ahead.
I mean, if there's one, I've never been a real big Laura Linney fan. The only movie that I've ever seen her that I really love her in is Truman Show, where she plays a bad actress. She nails it, and then she's pretty good. She's pretty good. Do you remember the movie Dave, where Kevin Kline becomes the president?
Yes.
Yep.
Laura Linney is the girl he's having sex with when he has the heart attack at the beginning of the movie.
Oh, really?
She's in it for 2 minutes, and she's like stuck under the dead president.
She says, Mr. President, Mr. President.
Yeah.
Then she screams. That was it. Three lines.
Start somewhere.
But for some reason, I don't know. I love the cast of Go. I think I saw it at a time in my life when I was really in the mood to watch a movie like this, and Timothy Olyphant's really great, and Sarah Polley I think is one that I would like really easily like throw me off kilter, but she does a really great job. I don't think she acts too much anymore. I think she just directs. So I don't know. There's so many great performances in this. I guess, like, I don't know. What would you guys say, like, your favorite actor is in both these movies? Who is, like, the one you bet on every time?
William Fichtner.
Oh, yeah.
I love William Fichtner.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Yes.
Fascinates me.
I have to say I was drawn to Liam Neeson for some reason in these. I found him very kind of believably charming.
Yeah, he had a real easy charm to him.
Mm-hmm.
I like him a lot.
I was waiting for somebody to kidnap the kid. We know what happens to that kid in the sequel.
Oh shit! So Love Actually is a prequel to Taken. Awesome.
I have a set of skills.
Yeah. I don't know who you are.
When your mother, Claudia Schiffer, left, I knew that I had to protect you.
Did you have what you were going to throw out, Tosh?
Breckenmeyer. He was in Go. He played Tiny.
Yeah.
I fucking hate him.
Oh, there you go, Kyle.
Is that him? Really?
Oh yes.
I thought you were going to say Katie Holmes.
Oh my god.
Oh my! How does that guy get work? Seriously, he is a terrible actor, and I hope he listens to this and he writes into the show and hope he comes on, because then I will say the same thing to his face.
I think
terrible actor.
Breckenmeyer has always struck me as the guy when the cameras aren't rolling, that he's just like the funniest guy on set. He's very easygoing, and people are just like, man, you're just really kind of fun to hang around. And people are like, man, put him in the movie.
I'm 100%.
It so rarely translates on screen, so I get that.
Yeah, he is garbage tier in this movie, and the British guy Simon also like, what is he, the 12th or 13th guy not to make it in Trainspotting? He's like way at the end of their call sheet.
Yeah,
right.
Fucking terrible. I mean, just terrible. And it may not necessarily have to do with the acting, but I don't believe any of those four people are friends or have ever met each other before that weekend.
No,
there is no reason for that carload of people to be friends.
No chemistry.
They all
whatsoever.
seem to fucking hate each other.
Yep. No
So
chemistry whatsoever.
So why are you going on a road trip?
But do you feel like true? Like who the
bizarre.
who the fuck would lock somebody in a trunk just because you were drunk? That doesn't seem very friendly.
It's so strange.
I can see the other three. I'm just like, Tay Diggs, what are you doing, man?
Oh yeah, he's so
seriously.
much cooler, classier, intelligent. Like he's got everything the rest of these guys are lacking. It's like, why would you hang out with him?
Yes.
Are you not? Did all your other friends move away? Are you like helping these Make-A-Wish kids? Like I don't understand because they're all fucking dumb. Like they're just terrible. And
when I picture Breckenmeyer going to the Vegas, I picture him just staying in a hotel room because no one would hang out with him.
Do you know who he reminds me of?
Is so unlikable. He cannot find a friend in Las Vegas.
Absolutely.
Not even with his money. He still can't find people to hang out with him.
No, but he's hanging out in his hotel room like, oh man, I wish I had some friends. Oh man, I sucked at acting, but I still keep getting gigs somehow.
I wish Seth Green was here.
Man.
Why can't Breckenmeyer stay in Vegas?
His agent is amazing. I applaud him because he keeps getting work, and I have no idea how. That's just for all you struggling actors and actresses listening to this podcast. There is hope for you. Just look at that guy. He's terrible, and you guys are probably better. Just keep trying, or get his agency. That's what I say. He obviously has a good agent. So,
well, he does do a lot of voiceover work, like voice acting work. You know, he's part of the Robot Chicken. He was on King of the Hill.
And that's fine. And that's fine. Do that. Don't act. Don't. No more magic tricks. Ta-da, I'm here in person. No more. Do your voice thing. Make a good living of that. Stop being on the screen.
I didn't realize I didn't know you had such a strong
oh, man. I've hated him
dislike
forever.
of this person.
I was actually going to bring this up because I know Kyle despises him as well.
I do not like Breckenmeyer as an actor. He may be a very funny writer and a creative guy behind the scenes on Robot Chicken, and his voice work may be good, but when I see him on screen, I immediately turned off. Just like, nope. And I mean sexually and intellectually. Like, nope.
Kyle, you and I should start an internet page saying we hate him. And you can be the president. I'll be the vice president.
He seems like such a nice guy that maybe he'd come on our show and be like, why you guys hate me? And then we're going to turn around and we're going to be the part of the fucking fan club because that's how he gets these jobs. He's a super nice guy.
And he'd be like, we got to put him in a movie.
We should make a movie.
How did we end up giving that guy all our money?
Weird. How'd that happen?
I just want to say too, I've one other actor, Jay Moore, has always kind of played like the same character, like Suicide Kings and Jerry Maguire. He kind of always played this kind of same swarmy character, and he was really, really funny in this.
I liked the chemistry between the two of them.
And I it's always funny because I always put this in and I always forget about their storyline until they come on. And I'm like, oh my gosh! And when I get done watching it, it's like my favorite part of the movie because it's just absolutely hysterical watching these two together.
It is.
Because they have a lot of good chemistry. The scene in the back of the car where they're discussing them cheating, the other one cheating on each other. Oh my god! Without actually coming out and saying it, it's really. So
when he's talking to Bill Fichtner too, and he's like, "Well, what's your girlfriend look like?" It's like 5'8", dark hair, dark eyes. She hot? Yeah, hot.
Yeah.
And I mean, Scott Fox is impossibly good looking. Like it's really
Scott
silly.
Wolf.
Whatever. Damn it! I got this thing with actors. All right, so
actors with animal names.
Michael J. Fox, Scott Wolf.
Michael J. Wolf.
Michael J. Wolf.
Well, they're kind of canine-like.
Whatever happened to Scott Wolf? He kind of just
he
on
did
television.
I was thinking that.
He did.
I don't know what he's doing. Is he still making Double Dragon movies?
He's doing voice.
Him and Mark Dacascos?
Yes. Let's see. He's doing voice work for Voltron, the TV series. He's part of something called The Night Shift. Dr. Scott Clemens.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably still really handsome, right?
He's ridiculously good looking.
It is silly. Like you know him from his Party of 5 Days, and you're like, oh Jesus, okay.
Yeah.
I get why you get all these acting gigs. And also, he's really likable and has charisma and plays really well with Jay Moore.
Well, and we got to see
yeah, that was
Katie.
good.
We got to see Katie Holmes before Tom Cruise got a hold of her.
Yeah. And Jane Krakowski before,
Oh, yeah.
it looks like maybe she got some work done. I don't understand. She looked very different.
What?
I'm not a big Katie Holmes fan. Not. I don't know.
I
Never-
can take her or leave her. I'm just saying, this was pre-Scientology.
Yeah.
I also wanted to point out too that
I
this
assume
was
she escaped.
yes, this was Melissa McCarthy's debut film, and I thought it was
Yeah.
great
That was so weird.
when she opened that door.
Uh,
Just the expression
really-
on her face.
Yeah.
She's really great.
She is. She's
And
actually pretty damn funny in quite a few things. I enjoy Melissa McCarthy.
yeah, she's fun.
Isn't it bizarre to see actors like that who look pretty much the same now, just older?
Yes.
She just looks like a slightly smaller, younger version of herself, which I guess we all do. Now that I say that, it sounds pretty stupid. But it's very shocking when she opens that door and you're like, whoa, I didn't know she was acting back then. And it looks like her daughter or something. It's weird.
So one thing, the other thing I wanted to point out is I love Timothy Oliphant, especially since Justified. Everyone knows that might be one of my favorite TV shows ever.
You should watch Deadwood.
Oh, I did watch Deadwood. I like him in
He's good
Deadwood. But it's funny because he did go, and then the next year he had 1, 2, 3 movies come out in 2000. And one of them is one of my favorite films. If it's on TV, I'm watching it, and it's gone in 60 seconds. And not a lot of people realize that he is the other detective, along with
Delroy Lindo, isn't it?
Delroy Lindo. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then getting into Love Actually, I mean, you got Billy Bob Thornton in there. It's just great seeing, you go and you see all these young actors and you're like, holy crap, I can't, they look the same or they look so young there. And then you go into Love Actually, which, like Tom said at the beginning of the round, you have just quite a few powerhouses. But I kept wanting Andrew Lincoln to say, but Carl, I love you. Carl.
I said that out loud a couple times during the movie, and he was quiet. I was like, Carl. He's so baby faced.
Yeah.
I know, God, without a beard or a 5 o'clock shadow, he looks like so baby faced.
He does, yeah. But yeah, seeing,
You don't
Liam
think of him as a
Neeson,
badass in that.
I totally agree with you guys. I figured the kid was going to get taken. It's just, and then I didn't realize it until after I was finished watching it. But I'm going to butcher his name. Chiwetel Ejiofor is in it. Yeah. Totally blew past that, and then I was like, "Oh, that's the guy."
Mordo.
Baron Mordo.
Yeah.
Baron Mordo.
That's the guy from 2012. For some reason, that's where my mind went.
That's what you guys think.
Yeah. For some reason.
He's in 2012?
Yes.
In 2012?
Yes. He's the one that discovers that the world is going to essentially collapse on itself. It's going through this big shift, and he gets stranded.
Really?
Yeah, he gets stranded. The government doesn't pick him up.
I don't remember that movie at all.
Yeah.
Do you know who else is in Love Actually that I didn't realize it was him?
Or no, he's not the one that figured it out. Isn't he one of the aides? I think. Okay, sorry, never mind. Go on.
That's okay. Rodrigo Santoro.
Yeah.
Who is it's funny because he's in 300, and he plays the Persian king. What's his name? Xerxes.
Xerxes, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's.
Oh,
great.
is he? He's Carl.
Yeah,
Isn't his
he's
name
the
Carl?
he's the guy that Laura Linney's character is in love with in The Office.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Impossibly in love with the person you barely have anything in common with and never talk to. Wonderful.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
Anything
Well,
else
we
you
did
guys
get
wanna
Andrew
add?
Lincoln and Carl in the same movie. Awesome.
Anything you guys want to add to acting?
I
Knightley's
miss
hot.
I miss Alan Rickman.
Oh,
me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
when I
Gee,
saw
thanks, Tosh. Jeez.
when I saw him,
I'm about downer tonight. That's what I'm doing. That's what I
That's usually my job, Tosh.
it's
But you
always
can
do.
have
Taking over.
it's always great to see him in a movie. Like you smile when you see him, and then it kind of hits you a few seconds later, like, oh,
Yeah.
gonna miss him.
Well, and it's
you
not,
know?
his performances are really good, but there's just something about his voice
Yes,
and his delivery that is really just compelling and different and interesting.
yes,
And yeah, definitely missed.
Everything he says is interesting.
exactly.
I like it.
Yeah. All right, let's vote, Tom.
I'm gonna go with Go.
All right, Tosh,
Love Actually.
Kyle,
Love Actually.
Gabe.
Yeah, there's a lot of great actors in both of these films. I really felt like the performances in Love Actually were much better. So I'm going to go with Love Actually.
All right. Chris Marshall returned his paycheck for the scene where the 3 American girls undress him. He said he had such a great time having 3 girls undress him for 21 takes that he was willing to do it for free and thus returned his check for that day. I think that's fantastic. Jay Moore, who has a lead role in the movie, originally wanted to be the drug dealer and continued to push for the dealer after he learned that he had gotten the lead. And I was reading some other stuff in there that the reason he got the lead was the director saw him and Scott Fox, as he's forever now known, talking in the hallway and just saw the chemistry between the two of them. And instantly he was like, okay, Jay's got the job.
You would consider that the lead character?
Well, he's
It's hard to
he's,
pick one.
he's one of the leads.
In both
Right.
movies, like who's the lead?
Yeah. I mean, that's just how it was put down in the trivia. So, all right, let's move on to our third round, which is directing.
Richard Curtis. I did not realize he directed a bunch of Mr. Bean episodes. That's fantastic.
And Mr. Bean was pretty fun. Going back to the acting really quick, Mr. Bean was pretty fun, I have to say. But anyway, keep going.
No, that's it. That's all I got, guys. No, I didn't.
That's it. I did
No,
not.
I've actually seen pretty much, Four Weddings and a Funeral, Bridget Jones' Diary. I have not seen that. Notting Hill, I've seen that. Love Actually, obviously I've seen that. He has a pretty good stable of films, mostly romantic comedies, huh? That's what he's known for.
That's what he's written.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
And
Man.
he only has 5 directing credits. Love Actually, Pirate Radio, Take That and Fake That, Happy Now, About Time.
Pirate Radio was okay. I've seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if this falls in directing or not, but he needed to edit some of that story out. It was long. 2 hours, 15 minutes for a romantic comedy, or what do you want to call it? A little long for my taking. It probably need to be like an hour and a half at the most. So probably could have got away. We've talked about this before. Probably cut that in half, like by 5 stories, and probably been pretty decent. I mean, it wasn't bad, and it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't directed bad or anything like that. There was good shots, and cinematography was good, but story dragged. Go, my opinion. I like the structure, like we talked about before, how he how it's broken apart, kind of like Pulp Fiction. But we talked about that as it was that's kind of during the time. I thought they both did a decent job. I didn't really have any nitpick except the length of Love Actually for the most part. What are you guys' thoughts?
I mean, Doug Liman's got some really interesting movies under his belt. Edge of Tomorrow is what I think is a really good movie.
Yep.
He directed Born Identity, or whichever one was the
Born
first
Identity.
one, right?
Yep.
Right, which rocketed to the moon, became this huge huge franchise, and that's a really cool action movie. But kind of uneven, sort of hit or misses. I liked Swingers back in the day. I don't know how much it holds up. This movie feels much more like Swingers.
It does.
Than the rest of his oeuvre that I'm familiar with. Richard Curtis, I have very little exposure to, other than I love Mr. Bean. So I'm down with that. But it seems like he directs these kind of movies. Romantic movies involving British people, sometimes a few Americans. And if that's his thing and people like it, that's great. I just think if he would have done this like wasn't it Gary Marshall who made all these movies that were based around holidays and love and all this shit? He just did them like every year, every 2 years. Love Actually seems like it would fit better, something like that. You spread it out, you have a recurring cast of characters, overlap them, bring in new faces, etc. It's just too much packed into too little time, and it already is long. And it just didn't do it for me.
Well, you also forgot in there, Doug Liman did Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Which is fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Jumper, which wasn't really that great, and Fair Game. I don't remember Fair Game. Yeah, I don't remember that, but
The Most Dangerous Game with Ice-T?
No, it's just called Fair
different.
Game. Yeah, I do like his directing style a little bit more. Richard Curtis, I think, has a problem killing his, as we call it, killing their babies. He's a writer, director, and he wants to see it all in there. Where Doug Liman, I like his use of the camera, especially in Go. Like, there were some shots in there that I thought were just so much fun that he did. And I like the handheld, which is very evident in the Bourne Identity.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. I mean, the guy can do action. I think he's got a good eye for it.
For sure.
Yeah, he's really good at the action.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, his action scenes are really great. And it's funny to see them tucked into, these, into a comedy. The Macarena scene in particular, and just the, just them driving across town, you can see how much fun they had with it. And stuff that he wound up using later on in, Bourne chases. So.
Yeah. And I'm with you, Mike. I really like Doug Liman's style, and there's a number of his movies that I've enjoyed very much. And it's been interesting to see how he's matured over time, but the basic concepts have always been there. He's just gotten better and better at it over time. I enjoyed Go, but it really definitely had kind of an early, low budget kind of feel to it. Like someone who's they're cutting their teeth on this, and it was a little rough around the edges in places, but you could see where it was going, and it's like, oh yeah, this is interesting. It's a different approach to this story. Again, it comes back to storytelling. For me, and the choices of shots, the choices of the editing choices, those kinds of things all play into the storytelling. And it's Doug Liman's storytelling that is more compelling to me. Although Richard Curtis's is also very competent. Where Tosh, I think, is right that maybe it was a little bit too long. He kind of lingered a little bit too much, or had too many. He tried to tell too many stories in one. It's still very competent storytelling, but it's a little bit more accessible to me. It's a little less experimental, a little less kind of threatening to a certain degree. It's like I'm going to tell these really concise, nice, pleasant stories, and I'm not going to offend anybody. I'm just going to tell these stories in the least obtrusive way that I can. I'm not going to draw your attention to it at all. Whereas Doug Liman, I think, is the opposite. And I think a movie like Go is a great precursor to something like Edge of Tomorrow, because it's learning to tell us a unique story in a unique way, kind of out of order, and still have it make sense, bring it all together in the end.
And
so you can really see that progression there.
well, and it just dawned on me, and I just watched this movie last week, American Made, with Tom Cruise.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet.
It's
Was that
really
good?
good. There's a reason why I think I liked it. Because we're talking about, how much we kind of like Doug Liman's work. And I think that it feels like Doug Liman. And I mean, we all agree Tom Cruise is batshit crazy, but he's great to watch on screen.
Agreed.
Of course, he
I
brings a lot
I
to
like
it.
watching him run.
Yeah.
I like watching him run.
Right.
Yep.
I'm trying to remember. I think he ran a little in this. I don't think it was.
I think I saw him running in the previews.
Yeah.
In the trailer.
Yeah. Sorry. Just a sidebar for that.
Would you recommend
when you
American
said
Made?
I would recommend American Made.
When you said American,
sorry.
when you said American Made, I immediately thought that Jennifer Lopez movie, but that's Made in Manhattan, and I'm really good at getting
Similar.
unrelated things screwed up tonight, so it's pretty good.
Michael J. Wolf.
Michael J. Wolf.
He was in Teen Wolf. I see you're getting there.
Yeah. All right. You guys want to add anything else to directing?
Nope.
Nope. All right. Let's vote. Tosh.
Let's go with Go.
All right. Kyle.
It's much less slickly produced, much less budget, but I think Go is more interestingly directed.
All right. Gabe.
Yeah, I think both of them were competently directed. They're both good, enjoyable movies, but I have to say Go as well.
All right. And Tom.
We didn't talk about editing in this category, and both of these I think benefit from really kick-ass editing. And so I'm gonna give it to Love Actually because I feel like, I feel like I could easily get dragged into this syrupy, sappy, schmaltzy shit, and it's edited just enough for me to stay out of the quagmire of tears.
Fair enough.
Oh, Love Actually. Did that make sense this time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
For Go, the director picked the grocery store that the movie was filmed in because of its run-down big city quality. When the producers paid the owner of the supermarket for permission to film there, the owners took some of that money and repainted and repaired the store for a more quote-unquote Hollywood look. The director and producer were understandably unhappy with this since the only reason they picked the store was how it looked in the first place. The producers, after getting consent from the store, hired a crew to bring the store back to what it had looked like before. The finished product is what you see in the film.
Oh, God. Did anybody think about Dolls?
Yes.
With the circular conveyor belts or whatever that ring us up. I always think about Dolls supermarkets.
Yep. In Love Actually, the airport greeting footage at the beginning and end of the film is real. Richard Krustar.
Richard Krustar.
Yeah. Oh my God. Sorry.
Russian.
I think I just had a stroke. Richard Curtis had a team of cameramen film at Heathrow Airport for a week. And whenever they saw something that would fit in, they asked the people involved for permission to use the footage.
Yeah, I wondered about that because, we have to deal with those kinds of things when we're doing 48-hour things. Like if you're filming all these people and you're going to show them in a film that's going to play all over the world potentially, you better make sure you have permission so that nobody gets pissed off. But it's kind of interesting how much of that footage they had, especially because right at the very end, they go to that almost like mosaic like shot where there's like, who knows, like 100 different vignettes all at once.
Right.
It's like, wow, that's a lot of work right there, getting all that permission. Kind of interesting.
All right. Let's move on to our fourth and final round, which is overall.
So movies that share some themes, but in the way they're told and the amount of perspectives they use and the people in their story, but very different in tone and feel and so the reality of the world they're trying to get across. Goes very gritty and raw and doesn't flinch away from showing you the bad things that happen to people who make bad decisions or kind of the follies of youth or hanging around with the wrong people. Also doesn't mind showing you Will Fichtner's ass, which I think is probably in every one of his contracts that he does that, because I feel like he's that kind of guy who does that in every movie. Love Actually feels like it'd be better as a series or a series of movies. I can see how it's very friendly and good for a particular time or an audience in a theater, and I can see how it could be a moneymaker. And it certainly has A-level talent, both British and some American. But some of the stories are uneven, less interesting. I find the same with Go. I'm more interested in some bits of the story than others. When they go to Las Vegas, I turn my mind off. I don't really care. But when Jay Moore and Tom Wolfe or Scott Fox or whoever is on screen, like, I'm invested and I want to see what's going to happen. So I think they both suffer a little bit from that unevenness and having a lot of story going into it. Go is much more tightly edited, and I think it has a more interesting story to the core of it. And for me, when you see overlapping narratives like this, I want to still be interested in the core story going on, and I want to be drawn into and fascinated by the other bits and pieces I'm seeing. Love Actually is really kind of a mosaic of bits and pieces of lots of different lives that are very haphazardly and superfluously thrown together at points. And so it's almost like an anthology film or something like that. But I do like, too, that it shows the bad part of some of these relationships. It doesn't shy away, and it's not all sugar-coated and wonderful. And it does explore a lot of the different types of love and loss that people have, and how good people make mistakes, and the grieving process, what love is like for a lot of people, not finding love or finding love and then losing it. These are, interesting topics. Very hard for me to pick a better movie out of these two, because I think they both are good at what they're trying to get across. I guess I'll wait for the voting, but those are kind of my general ideas on the movies.
Wow, that was beautiful.
That was really great. Yeah.
Wow, thank you guys.
I loved it. Now. I loved it. I found love finally in this episode.
Actually, we actually loved it.
Oh my God! Thank you.
Now it's time to go.
Oh no!
Wow!
Now
nice work.
Now I've come back from some mysterious trip. I'm Professor Snape, and no one's going to explain where I went or why my wife is still here. Oh, some of the unanswered stories did bug me at the end of Love Actually. Like,
did you see the Did you watch the sequel? Did anybody watch the sequel?
No, I did not know there was a sequel.
No, I'm serious. This year, it's real. This is not a joke, but this year for Red Nose Day,
Yes.
The actors all got together, and Richard Curtis got together, and they made, like, here's where they are now, 20 or 15, 20 years after the original story. So you can go back, so you can see where everybody progressed to. And it's interesting to see who wound up together and who didn't and everything else. And Emma Thompson is not in it, though, because Richard Curtis called her and said he could not find a way to write her story without Alan Rickman. So he said, I know it's really sad, but without Alan, I have nothing to write for you. And she said, no, it's okay. She goes, I don't want to be in it if Alan wasn't in it anyway. So that's why Emma Thompson's not in the sequel, but it's short. It's only like 15 minutes. So if you're wondering where all the Love Actually people are now and who made it and who didn't, spoiler alert, they all made it. You can go online and watch it. It's like, I don't know what they call it at, but if you Google Love Actually,
it's called Red Nose.
Is it just called Red Nose?
Yeah, I believe.
Yeah, it's called Red Nose Day, actually, according to IMDb.
So it's.
I would be. Yeah,
it's
I would
cute.
be interested.
I love that they got all these very, very wealthy and important people together to do something to raise money for a charity.
Yes.
And they were able to do this, and it was kind of fun to check in with everybody. But, it sucks without Alan Rickman. Yeah. Everything sucks without Alan Rickman, right?
Yes,
that's true.
Well, apparently,
I was on the treadmill earlier, and Alan Rickman wasn't there. It would have been more fun if he had been there.
For sure.
Agreed.
I will forever think of Alan Rickman as A, Hans Gruber, and B, Metatron from Mallrats. Because it just seems like he's having such a damn good time.
Not Mallrats.
Dogma.
Dog. Can't fucking stop tonight screwing things up. Oh shit!
But Kyle, you're just your previous, talking
You
about
gave
the
a
overall.
great little speech. Yeah, that makes up.
It
for
was beautiful.
Oh, thanks, thanks.
So I mean, you brought it and then you just lost it. So
And then I lost it. Story of my
all over.
life. It is better to have loved and lost than to have never touched yourself.
time to vote. All right.
All right.
Music. I loved the soundtrack for Go. It takes me back to the late '90s, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, you were talking about it before, right? With
Paulo can fold. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he did that remix of A Little Less Conversation, and that's in it, and right? Or was it Viva Las Vegas? I know.
I think it was A Little Less Conversation.
Yeah,
because they were on the strip driving around.
Right, and I know they used it in Ocean's 11, didn't they? I think they did.
Probably.
Anyway, but also it blew my mind when Len started playing. Don't Steal My Sunshine.
Oh God,
I love that song, and I also totally forgot. Like Tom said, you kind of forget about Scott Wolf and Jay Moore's storyline at the end, but one thing that I totally forgot about was the cat. I love the cat. When the cat's just subtitled, "You're going to die."
Yeah.
It just kicks my ass every time. Every time I forget about the cat.
Are there any more soundtracks than these in the late 90s, early 2000s that are a better picture of a time and a culture? I feel like all of them with these types of songs are so indicative of this 5 to 10 year period.
Right.
Now it's much more varied and wide ranging across the gamut what you get. But that time just feels so specific, right? When you hear those songs and you see those movies, you're like, oh my God, they all belong in this such a short, specific amount of time.
Right. Nope. Agreed.
It's interesting.
All right. You guys want to add anything else? I mean, I think Kyle pretty much hit the nail on the head.
You covered it.
All
you
right.
can't follow Shakespeare like that.
All right.
You got to get out.
Let's
Don't
go.
worry, I'll fuck something up before the end.
We're counting on it.
Let's go ahead and vote. Kyle.
Oh. I've kind of flip-flopped back and forth. But I think I'm going to vote for Go in the end.
All right. Gabe.
Wow. Yeah, I enjoyed both of these. I'd never seen either of them, and I liked them both probably more than I expected to. It is a tough decision. Yeah, Go.
All right. Tom.
Oh man. Gosh, it's so close. I'm gonna go with Go also. If for nothing, I mean, they're both very repeatable. I can watch both of them a lot. Love Actually is nice because you only have to watch it like once a year. But I watch Go all year round, so that's probably why I do it. And my wife and I repeat lines from Go all the time. I mean, it's part of our day-to-day routine is to pull lines from that movie. So I'm gonna have to go with Go.
All right. And Tosh.
Let's go with Go.
All right. Wow. Go swept the overall. Knowing about Billy Bob Thornton's quite unusual fear of antique furniture, Hugh Grant would sometimes... apparently it's a real thing.
Is this real?
Yeah. Hugh Grant would sometimes
Is there a
flash...
name for that?
I don't know. Hugh Grant would sometimes flash...
Anticophobia?
What? Anticophobia?
Yeah.
Hugh Grant would sometimes flash a piece of antique, which is abundant in England, in front of Thornton just before the cameras rolled, and watch him freak out in amusement. So I gotta look that up, see if that's really true. But I
feel
kind of
like
laughed when I saw it.
I feel like Billy Bob Thornton might be fucking with people.
Yeah, it could be too.
He seems like the kind of guy who would think that's funny and fuck with people. And man, he plays a really good asshole.
Yeah,
he's
he does.
so good.
Yeah.
Is it acting?
He is. I really think he's a very underrated actor. I think he is awesome.
He's good. Yeah, no, I like him.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, his start. I mean, you think about the movie that everybody, started with.
Yeah,
with
Sling Blade, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
just like over the top, fantastic in that.
And I
like,
love him in Armageddon. Absolutely.
Yeah,
love
even
him in
his thing in Armageddon is like, it could be such a throwaway thing, but he takes it so seriously and delivers. And like he's obviously having fun and fucking around, but it has like a gravitas to it. It's good.
The outtake reel with him in it is
Yeah.
fantastic.
I must have watched that 5 or 10 times with you at this point.
The license plate 2GAT123, which appears in Go, is also featured in Beverly Hills Cop 2, Traffic, Pay It Forward, Mulholland Drive, Crazy Beautiful, L.A. Story, 2.5 Men, and SWAT.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that some sort of like generic license plate that they can use?
Yep.
Or
Apparently.
are they all shared universe?
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Oh, I'm so going to get that put on my license plate next time. I wonder if it's available. I'm going to check.
All
You
right.
guys keep talking.
All right. Let's go ahead while I do basic math, which will take me a while. Let's move on to our recommendations for this month. Gabe, you start us off.
Oh, thanks. Because you knew I was struggling. I struggled with a recommendation this month. So I think I'm going to go with the one that I talked about before. I recently saw Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer on TV. Again, the original stop-motion animation kind of thing. And seeing it through adult eyes in this time period really kind of changes it and how the characters are treated and what the characters represent. So I would recommend to our listeners to have another look at Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and see how you perceive it these days. See if your perception of it has changed and if maybe it's a little less innocent than you originally thought.
Did you cry, Gabe?
I didn't, and I did not cry, but I was surprised at some things that they were kind of like addressing in a subtle kind of subtextual kind of way. And what does it really mean to be Rudolph in that you're basically unwanted and expendable until somebody needs you, and then hey, we really like you because we need you now. Otherwise, you're a freak. Get away from me because you got a shiny nose, that kind of thing. And there's all kinds of other storylines that I didn't realize were actually in Rudolph, like Dennis the dentist, the elf that didn't want to make toys, but he wanted to be a dentist and was maybe possibly gay. And why did we not like him? Is it because did we not like him? Was he an outcast because he didn't want to make toys, or because he wanted to be a dentist, or was it actually because he was?
Gabe, can I ask you something?
Was his name Herbie?
Herbie? No, I thought it was Dennis. I thought. I don't know.
All right.
I could be wrong. I thought it was Dennis the dentist. I could be wrong.
Like there was the one. Because the line was Herbie doesn't want to make toys.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Maybe it's Herbie. It could be, but there was the one elf that didn't want to make toys, and he wanted to be a dentist.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure his name's Herbie.
It could
Hermie.
be. I could be wrong. I
Hermie.
wasn't paying that close attention, but
Because you were high, apparently.
Yeah. No, really. Yeah. Seriously, you should watch it with kind of a different point of view, with adult eyes, and kind of like, it's really interesting. The way the parents are, and gender roles, all kinds of interesting stuff going on in there if you look at it.
All right. Thanks, Gabe.
You sold me on that. I want to watch that now, Gabe.
Yeah.
Tom.
Okay, so I think we've actually done every decent Christmas movie. We've either recommended it. We've either recommended them or done them on the show. So I'm going to recommend a comedy about suicide at Christmas, the Billy Wilder classic, The Apartment. So I would recommend you watch it. It's actually very sweet, and it's a really nice story. Jack Lemmon is fantastic in it. So I would recommend The Apartment. It's a classic. It is actually very funny and touching. So anyway, It's black and white. If you don't like it, I don't know, go watch something else.
We love Billy.
I don't know, man. I am at the bottom of the Christmas list. So
we love Billy Wilder in this household.
we do too.
Yeah.
We did. Yeah.
Tosh.
My film was just out recently, and it is Wonder. I'm picking Wonder because we're talking about Go's unique storytelling. Wonder kind of falls in the same category. It's about a boy that had some problems when he was born, so he has a kind of a weird look to him, if you will, and he starts junior high, and I took my kids to it, and it got a little dusty in the theater a couple times. It's if you have kids, I really recommend Wonder. It gets to you. It got really dusty sometimes, really dusty in that theater. But Wonder, yep, I recommend that, and it has some great Star Wars cameos.
Nice. All right.
Yep.
Thanks, Tosh.
Yep.
Kyle.
Well, from going from kids shows that should now be watched by adults to shows you should only watch with your kids, I'll go for something you should never show your kids, and it's very juvenile and made by adults. It's a show on Netflix called Big Mouth. If you haven't had a chance to watch it, it is absolutely filthy, and if you're into that, it's hilarious.
God.
And it is about coming of age and puberty. And it's animated, and Jordan Peele plays the ghost of Duke Ellington, and there is a hormone monster. And I find it fucking hilarious. It's got Jason Mantzoukas in it as well. I'm a big fan of Raffi from The League. So if you want to watch some smutty, funny humor to remind you about how shitty it was when you were going through puberty, and watch a bunch of 40 and 50-year-old men and women tell that story and get really gross, you'll enjoy Big Mouth.
All right.
Is this one where he was on? I can't remember the actor's name, but he was on Stephen Colbert about the time of the Puerto Rico. Nick Kroll.
Nick Kroll.
Yeah,
would have been he is one of the writers with one of his childhood friends. John Mulaney's in it as well. It's really funny.
Yeah, and they raised a bunch of money doing the Puber Me thing, where they had celebrities post pictures of them in puberty.
I didn't know anything about that, but it would fit right in with the theme of the show, which is all about going through puberty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and the puberty monster is one of the funniest. It's such a clever idea of this monster that pops out of your head and tells you to do the most irrational, disgusting things because you're exploring your sexuality. And I found it hilarious, and at times a bit too close to home for my 15-year-old self.
All right. Well, I just gave up on trying to think of some Christmas movie to tell you to go watch. So I picked a film that I couldn't wait for it to hit Netflix. It's kind of funny. Kyle and I are both talking Netflix, but you need to watch Jim and Andy, The Great Beyond, featuring a very special contractually obligated mention of Tony Clifton. It's a behind-the-scenes look at how Jim Carrey adopted the persona of idiosyncratic comedian Andy Kaufman on the set of Man on the Moon. And when you watch him fall down that rabbit hole, you can kind of understand why he is the way he is today. Like, he hasn't really bounced back from it, I think. You know, like Jim Carrey just kind of, once he did Man on the Moon, it got really sketchy there for a while. Yeah. Well, it still is.
Yeah, he's still kind of interesting.
But, and I kind of credit it to maybe, he's not being what everyone wants him to be. He's kind of being himself now. But seeing all this behind the scenes footage, you kind of look at it and like, oh my God, how did someone not kill him on that set? Like literally just, I've had enough. I'm going to shoot you in the face now. And it's quite entertaining just to see the look on everyone's faces when things happen. And especially his problems with Jerry Lawler. which you guys know played himself in the movie. And Jim Carrey kind of takes it really way too far with Jerry Lawler. And I'm surprised he didn't get his neck broken. But that's my recommendation for this month. And let's go ahead and poke the monkey to find out who won.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Your winner by decision is... Gold!
I just want to say real quick, Kyle and Tosh, thank you guys for joining us. I know you guys are new to this. I mean, you've been guest hosts for as long as we started it, right? I mean,
Yep.
Kyle, you came on essentially the beginning of the second year as a guest, always for Christmas. And Tosh, you've always been our Halloween guy.
That's right.
But Gabe and Tom, I mean, guys, we've been doing this for 8 years now. This is pretty incredible to me.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that it's been a full 8 years.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you guys. This has been great. I really enjoyed doing this podcast every month. I wish we had the time to be able to do 2 a month, but we all have families and we all have jobs and we all have other things that we'd probably rather do. So,
are there that many movies?
Yeah, there's plenty of movies, man.
Are there enough movies?
There's plenty of movies. And we did something last week that we've never done before. We actually sat down, got on Skype, and we planned out our entire next season. So this upcoming season has already been talked about, decided upon. We don't have to guess. We're just going to do it. So all of us are pretty excited about what's coming up in the next year. I think it's going to be a blast.
Lots of action.
There is lots of action.
There is
I was going through it and I'm like, ooh, but you know,
it's fun stuff.
Yeah, it is going to be fun stuff. So with
the exception of November, which I think will feel interminable.
it will, but it's going to be so worth it.
Well, it should be great.
Yeah. We would appreciate it if you could leave us a review on iTunes or whatever podcasting service you use. If you leave us a review, that helps other people find us. You can contact us at cinesmack@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Just search Cinesmack. For January, we take on the age-old question of DC or Marvel. 2 of their champions clash as Captain America, the First Avenger, and Wonder Woman fight for supremacy. For Tom, Tosh, Kyle, Gabe, and myself, thanks for listening, and go catch a flick.
And from all of us here at Cinesmack, happy holidays!
This has been a test of the Southsider Studios podcast system. This was only a test. If this were a true lack of entertainment, your head would explode. Go to iTunes and subscribe to our feed. Just search Southsider Studios.